invitation and the opportunity to share our research from my lab as well as from University of Pennsylvania.
Very long back called as University Department of Chemical Technology, UDC, and was part of University of Mumbai, an independent deemed university, specifically dealing with chemical technologies. The largest two departments of the institute are Chemical Engineering Department and Pharmaceutical Technology and Pharmacy Department.
The thing used to come to me very clearly. One of the students used to keep his eyes open and sleep. And the other student who used to close his eyes and sleep. When I used to really ask them, the person who has kept his eyes open and sleeping, he said, "Sir, I am imagining what you're talking." Similarly, when I used to ask a person who said, "You have closed your eyes and what are you doing?" He said, "Sir, I am concentrating on you." Okay?
But at that time it was cutting edge. It was one of the good departments of the country. But when you go from here, and if it deteriorates, and if it is not cutting edge, you will always have that feeling, this will define you, really. Whenever you go somewhere and you say, "I came from Department of Pharmacy, Nagpur,"
of our past students or alumni. We would like everybody who has passed out right from 59 till the year 2018, both at the B.Pharm, M.Pharm and the PhD level, we should have their data.
एक प्राइज भी अनाउंस कर सकते हैं हम, जो बेस्ट सजेशन देगा उसके लिए हम एक 11,000 का प्राइज रखते हैं। तो सबने जो भी ये देखा है इसकी सॉफ्ट कॉपी लो, उसको देखो, एक ग्रुप में भी आप दे सकते हो, इंडिविजुअल भी दे सकते हो। और उसमें और अच्छा क्या होना चाहिए, तो देखो सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है कि ये मौका मिलना अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी किस्मत है कि हम अपना कॉलेज डिसाइड
hope you are seeing the screen where Dr. A.K. Durle Memorial Lecture we are giving the prolog tribute to him, and with the Diva we are giving a salute to that great son of the soil for today's lecture who enabled this, and we are saluting him. And let us see, because my lecture is nowhere related to pharmacy. Probably most of the previous lectures have moved towards that. But today my lecture is basically trying to see not my life revisit, rather than Swami unauthorized life revisit here inside you. I am trying to see myself how it has gone and how it is going.
Good evening. Good evening. Namaste. Namaste. My dear friends and students, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to keep this flame of learning burning with the help of influential and live personalities, and for all of us to learn and also live, how to live, how do we really make difference in the world, etc. Now, you have seen that time we talked to Dr. Annadurai, who is a pride of India in terms of really reaching, let's say, Mars first time and created a world history. Now today we also have a same or similar kind of personality whom you are really observing here, and I do not think anyone does not him. Now it's very difficult to really host such kind of really guest or our own person. It's very difficult. However, you know, when I was studying and daily last 2-3 days, I've been studying our guest, introduce you his name, etc., etc. Maybe by this time you know him well. So then I just suddenly remember reading, which was written by Fritjof Capra. He has written a number of books, Tao of Physics. He has written other books, but last book he wrote was Uncommon Wisdom. Now this Uncommon Wisdom, he has done a lot of research in terms of interviewing students all over the world. And he also came to Kerala and tried to really ask students. One of the students he asked, he said, "Who are you?" So he said, "I'm an engineer." He said, "Yes, I know you are an engineer. But who are you basically?" So he said, "Yes, I'm an engineer. I'm doing this." So I agree with you, but don't you think that you are a human being first? So he said, "Yes." He said, "Yes, if you really look at it, you are a human being first, and then perhaps you are today engineer, you could be doctor, you could be philosopher, you could be anything." So I think this is a kind of touch of a human being or humanness. Very important. Our guest today is also very, very predominantly known with this humanity. Now, I started also, okay, what do I really say about this person? And then I, being a consultancy profession for last 35 years, written almost 10-11 books on different subjects on pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, management, etc., having PhD. I started looking at, let me do a small research. What is the experience of our guests in their lives? And believe me, the first person whom I caught is my maternal cousin, Mausera Bhai from Maushi Sa Mulga. So we talked to him, and I could see things I could uncover from him. What's the experience of our guest? Then I did a good survey with 20 people, and believe me, there are 5 things about him people know when I'm introducing him, that how they are important for him and how to really work for him. The first thing was, like, he is basically accepting any challenge, and that's what is his life. If any challenge comes to him, he accepts it. Second thing, loves animals. Third thing, if I found out, is that even if it's a unknown territory, he will take a risk and go ahead and do certain things in his life. Similarly, very simple. You must see him now, very simple in living, but doing a lot of big things. And I remember one of my clients who is a diamond merchant. When I went to see him, I saw a small caption on his table. I looked at it, I was trying to write it down. He said, "Do you want it?" I said, yes, I want it. He said, "Take it." So what was written on that particular thing? And I never forget that. He said, "I am nothing, but I can do anything." You can see the power within you, but that nothing and anything. And the last one is very simple, is that I also found out, I found out that he's very innovative and experimentative. I think if you look at the entire life of his, you will find that he's very innovative every time and very experimentative. So I think looking at this, I feel now it's a time for me, because little survey I did, now it's a time for me to really look at Dr. Prakash Muralidhar Amte. Now, we call Muralidhar Amte as Baba Amte, and also is very well known in the world as well as in India. Similarly, Dr. Prakash Amte, and along with him, we will find Dr. Mandakini Amte. Dr. Prakash Amte basically is MBBS, surgical registrar of Sevagram, Wardha, also married to Dr. Mandakini, has 2 sons, 1 daughter, and first posting in 1974 I would say, Lok Biradari Prakalp in Hemalkasa. Now, do you remember what I told you just recently? Any unknown territory, even if Hemalkasa was that time in fact infested by Naxalites, and lot of they are Gadchiroli. So I think all these things, right from Baroda to really go to Gadchiroli, all this unknown terrain, but he really accepted that challenge and he went there. Then, in fact, he was a director in terms of all different aspects of different things. He did his lot of health education in terms of really formal, informal, and he was also trustee of World Life Fund. Similarly, he was, I remember these two trusts which are very important. This trust was, one trust is Search and another trust is Mahan. Mahan is different from Mihan. You know, Mihan is very near, but Mahan is still different. I'll elaborate with you. Elaboration of Search is that Society of Education, Activities, Research and Community Health. That is a Search. If you take at Mahan, it's a meditation, AIDS, health, de-addiction and nutraceutical. What I told you right in the beginning, that it's a kind of entire scope. He has himself considered as a human being. I say, on this platform of human being, what can I do? And also in terms of animal as well as in terms of human being, I think he tried to really put his platform in such a way. And do you remember and do you know how many awards he has? 63 awards. Can it be? 63 awards. If I ask him, doctor, which one is like we like most? I don't know what will be answer. But specifically, I looked at two awards which were very predominantly very different. One is award which is basically Adivasi Sevak. That's very servant leadership, servant. And second is Padma Shri. You can see these two things are very different. One is a different platform level, another is different platform level. So I feel these two awards I could really recognize. Then Magasasi Awards, DHI, Great Sikh Awards, Swasth Bharat Award, and the one Hong Kong, let's say, humanitarian awards. So many awards. And believe me, 63 awards is not, if I get one award, I feel like my chest is really swollen, right? So you are also aware of his film, which is Marathi film, which is Dr. Prakash Baba Amte, The Real Hero. And I would see the divine message which he has really given, in which I liked very much, is when patients are ignorant and have no faith, how do they really proceed? I think his life is full of challenges. He took those challenges and really, went through it. And along with, let's see, him, you will see Dr. Mandakini Amte. She also is MBBS, and I'm sure the day which they really celebrated, must have celebrated, I'm sure they must have celebrated the day in 1995, when the postal stamp depicting both of them on the postal stamp of State of Monaco in Europe. I think that's where you will find, and that's where Dr. Prakash Amte as well as Mandakini Amte. I would just ask them, okay, now with their permission, I've heard that they have a small video on their work. That could be the thing which we can show, and I would request all these administrative people to really start the video for this particular purpose. Please go ahead. And I hope you are accepting Dr. Amte, Dr. Mandakini Amte to show us this, right? Okay, thank you.
Youth of any nation in the world to shame. If the unfaltering hope of Baba can be likened to the ever-shining sun, Dr. Prakash is the brightest ray that shoots out of it, embodying compassion, selflessness and trust. He has delivered the lives of countless desolate people of the Madia tribe, steeped in centuries of superstition, blind faith and illiteracy. He has forged a blazing path of light in their darkened lives. Lovingly called by his near ones as Bhau, Prakash Amte is not alone in his journey. A heartfelt and sincere follower of this ray of light was one who completely gave herself over to the service of mankind, investing every nerve and sinew in an uphill effort to change lives. She walked beside him every step of the way, faced troubles and shared joys equally, and partnered in every way his eventful life. She is none other than his better half, Dr. Mandakini Prakash Amte. Madia. Madia is a tribe that for eons has been living within its own sphere of unfounded belief, superstition, and backwardness. They have always been hidden away, alienated, and aloof from civilized habitation, and seem to be stuck in the past, severely undeveloped and illiterate. They do not command attention, neither is their existence acknowledged. Such was their indifference that they brutally offered young children up as divine sacrifice and gave more importance to their priest and his lofty requirements rather than to ensuring drinking water. They refused to plough their land, claiming that this would injure their mother earth, but ate literally anything that moved within their forests. Lok Biradari is an organization set up in the jungles of Hemalkasa by Dr. Prakash Amte that upholds his values of hard work and dedication. Let us take a peek into its workings. It is an endeavor that surpasses the thinking and foresight of a layperson and one that awakens the mind to sit up and pay attention. To the right of the gate stands a Maharashtra Bank ATM, proof of the success and modernity commanded by the project. A few steps ahead is the Lok Biradari Hospital. The deadly 70s plagued the hapless tribals with cerebral malaria and cholera. Dr. Prakash and Dr. Mandakini Amte served selflessly and treated the people with expertise, much like the famed Dhanvantari, the divine healer. The Lok Biradari Hospital can stake a claim to stand among any of the country's top multi-speciality hospitals. The hospital boasts of an impeccably clean and well-designed OPD, a free-for-all pharmacy dispersing much-needed medication, a systematic record of more than 2 lakh tribal residents of the region categorized by village. In spite of such facilities, some conservative Madhyas refused to be treated within 4 walls of an enclosed room, and for them was created an open-air OPD. Besides these, there are 3 separate operation theatres stocked with modern equipment, a spacious general ward, delivery room, X-ray, color Doppler, autoclave, neonatal ICU, pathology lab, separate eye checkup unit and separate dental unit. For this monumental feat, the World Health Organization has conferred upon the hospital the title of Public Health Champion. Baba Amte believed that to remove wretchedness, unemployment and exploitation from the tribals' lives, education was the only way out. He took up the mantle of educator and set up a school at Hemalkasa. What first started as a class of just 25 students is now the birthplace of 1,000 dreams, hopes of future and development. The meager sapling that years ago dared to raise its head to the skies is now a massive, solid, spreading tree that shades the entire village. Its 2 buildings house classrooms for LKG to 12th grade, a dining hall, a computer room, an exercise room and playground. Everything that could possibly be required for a growing, well-balanced child. James Herriot said, and I quote, "If having a soul means being able to feel love and loyalty and gratitude, then animals are better than a lot of humans." The father of our nation once said, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated." Animals are just as sensitive and in need of love and care as humans. Their only disadvantage is their lack of speech. The words of James Herriot and Mahatma Gandhi reflect their thoughts on showing compassion to our cohabitants. Prakash Amte is the voice of these mute creatures from the treacherous jungle and its predator. He has saved a number of helpless, undefended animals and adopted them as his own blood, not out of duty but out of love for all things living. Bao treats them like his own children. He is at once fortress of impenetrable safety and a sea of compassion. A mother's tender care and father's steadfast protectiveness are both plainly visible when he is around his adopted family. More joyful to watch is the behavior of these animals towards their father. Very much like children, they throw temper tantrums at will, but also come back sheepishly to apologize for being too snappy. They too have taken him as one of their own. We have always maintained that animals are unpredictable, uncouth and violent. But as time has passed, maybe animals have passed their own judgment against us. The expansive galaxy that is the personality and aspects of this living legend cannot be encompassed in mere words, even if they were stars. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the illustrious Raman Magsaysay and Padma Shri awardee, the lights of a million lives and torchbearer of an equal number of dreams, Dr. Prakash Baba Amte and Dr. Mandakini Prakash Amte.
हॅलो सर बोला तुम्ही. हॅलो
हॅलो बोला बोला बोला
हां
बोला तुम्ही चालू करा.
हां
ऐकू येत नाही ना.
आता येते ऐकू येते. हॅलो हां हां नमस्कार. हो we are really happy to participate in your this alumnus program today evening. The topic is really service to humanity, service to God. To go little back to the history of our project. Baba Amte, as probably everybody knows about him. Father was a landlord, and then 42, inspired by Gandhi, took part in freedom movement, and then in 1949 we started project for the leprosy patient. 1949 in Chandrapur district of Maharashtra, and against wishes of his parents, relatives, and friends. It must have been a difficult time for him and my mother both, Sadhnatai Amte. We two brothers, Vikas and myself, 6 patients. That was the beginning of Anand. And then more or less the situation was like lockdown. No civilized person would ever visit Anandvan during that time. A lot of prejudice and misunderstanding about leprosy. But Baba was firm in his commitment. He was a voracious reader. Basically, he read a lot of books about religion. And then he decided if to live in this world, you must have compassion. He found out in Christian religion. He didn't believe in karma kanda. He only believed in karma. His slogan was "Work is worship." And we both brothers were, sanskar with Baba and Pai both. Number of patients started increasing, and gradually his friends started visiting Anandvan, appreciating his work. We both had education in Marathi medium in a municipal school, and I was no ambition what to do in future. As we grown up and we appeared for matriculation, we both decided to join Baba's work. Possibly, if we get an admission to Medical College Nagpur, we can do a better service, if we become medical graduate. Since there was some limitation in Baba's work because he was a lawyer, taken a temporary training in Calcutta School of Tropical Medicine about leprosy. Fortunately, in 1966, we both got admission in Nagpur Medical College. We passed out every exam, first MBBS, second MBBS. And in 1970, we appeared for final MBBS exam. And we came back to Anandvan to await the result. That was in December 70. And whenever that vacation, Baba thought that we should go for a picnic. He had a pickup van. He took all of the family members in that pickup van and started for this journey to Bambragarh, the place which was not known to anybody. It was not famous for anything. But probably Baba knew about that place. He must have visited during his childhood. Mm, Anyway, but there were no roads. It took us almost 2.5 days to reach this place. 258 kilometers from Anandvan, but the time was 2.5 days. But when we reached Bhamragar, we saw there is a confluence of three rivers. Very, very thick forest. Beautiful nature. We were so happy that Baba has brought us for a couple of days in such a nice place. We camped on the confluence of a river. And next day, Baba said, since we have come such a long, let us go and see the area. He took us to the first village. There were no roads as such. Fairweather Road, we can call them Fairweather Road. Our vehicle went to first village. As soon as hearing the noise of a vehicle, all the villagers, all the tribal people basically, they came out of their huts. It was quite cool. December, month of December, the temperature must be below 10 degrees centigrade. And they were scared. Just like wild animals, they are scared after looking at the human beings. I'm a little surprised why they are scared. We wanted to have dialogue with them, started approaching them, but all of them ran away in the forest. Then we went to the next village and then to the next village. Whole day we tried to establish some contact with them, but nobody stopped to have a dialogue with us. We came back to our camp, to the confluence. We lit a fire there and we're sitting by the side of fire and we're thinking of the impressions of the whole day. What was the difference between us and them? They were just like you and me, our own brothers basically. But they had very little clothes or no clothes on their body, just a loincloth to cover the private parts. Children were totally naked. The language probably was different. We could understand what some of the talked to us. And as we were thinking about the whole day's experience, impressions, suddenly Baba said, now that you both are becoming doctors, already taken decision to take the responsibility of Anandvan. Personally, I feel that I should start some work for this tribe. Which is this tribe? This tribe called Madia. It's one of the primitive tribe of India. I'm not a doctor, but I can teach them farming, I can give them vocational training and so on. As I was talking, I could realize the intention of his picnic, and suddenly I said, Baba, if you start the work for this community in this region, Bambragar region, I will carry on the work. And Baba felt so happy that he had motivated one of his sons to work for this tribe. So probably the intention was, already he had an intention that we should expose their children to the other community. I mean, which we had never heard of this community. We had seen a lot of sorrows and tragedies in Anandvan of a participation, which were driven out of their house and the villages. They were all begging in front of churches and the temples. But when Baba started the work for them, Maharugi Seva Samiti, a lot of patients started getting admitted to Anandvan. So we went back to Anandvan, our results were out, we started our internship. And Baba said, that's you've taken decision to start a work for the tribal people in Bambragar region. Why don't you write to Government of Maharashtra? So we prepared an application, sent it to Mumbai Sachivalaya Secretariat, and waiting for their reply. As most of the people know how bureaucracy works, we didn't get a reply. And our internship finished in December 1971. So there was no other work to do. So I joined post-graduation in Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Science, Sevagram. The college was started by Dr. Sushila and I, and there are vacancies for the post-graduation. So I started my job in surgery, where I met Dr. Mandakini Deshpande. She has also graduated from Nagpur Medical College, and she came there to do her post-graduation in anesthesia. Though we were in the same college, we didn't know each other. Though for almost 5.5 years, she was 1 year senior to me. But while working on the same patient, we came to know about each other. And probably wavelength matched, and we decided to get married. But before her decision, I told her that I had already committed to my father that I am going to work in a region where there is nothing, literally nothing. First of all, there are no roads. Once the monsoon starts, the roads get cut off for 6 months. Electricity and telephone was out of question. Even to stay in a decent house was out of question. So because it was a love marriage, and she agreed that instead of working in the city, these people need more of our medical facilities and medical needs. So Baba, being a practical man, he immediately arranged for our marriage in 1972. The marriage was totally breaking all the customs, since we had our own family members were more than 1,500, where they were leprosy patients, blind and physically handicapped. So the marriage was performed in Anandvan. Baba didn't believe in any religious customs, so we didn't find out the muhurta. Sunday was a good muhurta for all of the friends and relatives to come to Anandvan to bless the marriage. And that is how on 24th of December 1972 we got married. Next day after the wedding, I said to Manda that we have not seen the area. We will go for Hanuman to this place, Bamragarh. And that is how first time she realized how difficult her life would be after government gave us the land. And that made her commitment more firm. So after the honeymoon, she passed her diploma in anesthesia in Nagpur Medical College. I was doing MS surgery in Indira Gandhi Medical College in Nagpur. And in 17th December, Baba got the land from government of Maharashtra. I came to know that the land was allotted to Maharoti Society. I left my education in the Navy. Mandakini was a lecturer by the time in Nagpur Medical College. She resigned and we both came here, constructed our own hut, small hut, thatched one, and started our work underneath a tree. We opened our clinic. And we thought that now tribal people would come and take advantage of our small clinic, basically. It was not a hospital. But as we waited for them and we started going to the villages, trying to convince them that there is a need to, now you have an alternative in Hemalkasa. We got a land in Hemalkasa village, but they were so scared of civilized people. Nobody was in a position to hear our advice. Either they used to run away or they avoided us. Then the problem was their language. Language was Madia. It's a dialect, different from Marathi and Hindi. So we learned the language from the so-called non-tribal who were serving this area, forest guards and contractors. They were living here for long as a parish posting. But they came to a hospital because they know the importance of hospital. So if anything goes wrong with their health, they used to come immediately to the hospital. Mandakini prepared a dictionary in Madia. What do you call for name and then the village and then symptoms and disease and whatnot. And taking that dictionary with us, and we started roaming in the forest, studied their culture. All these disease people used to go to a village square. Here they call them pujari. We used to use some herbal medicine or mantra tantra and also ask for sacrifice of chicken, goat, and sometimes a human sacrifice. So it was so difficult and frustrating for us that leaving everything came to Hemalkasa to serve these people and not a single patient, taking advantage of our facility. Uh, After some days, we realized that these pujaris or local clerics, they couldn't cure the real illnesses. Minor illnesses they used to cure with their mantras, and actually the disease used to cure with their own immunity. But the credit used to go to that pujari. So the importance of pujari was the traditional one, and since ages they were believing him. But those who were really serious, he used to send them back. Now he said, "Abhi Bhagwan ki marzi. I have tried my level best. Now I can't cure it." So we requested them to send some serious patient to our clinic. And I will tell you two examples. First, two patients, The first one was a small child, 10-year-old. They always used to sleep by the side of fire because of the cold. He had he also had an epilepsy. And during the attack of epilepsy, he fell down in fire and there was 40% burns. They took him to do that pujari, treated him with his own medicine and mantra tantra, but that got infected. And later on, the wounds had maggots in his body. So he sent him back. The boy was helplessly sitting in front of his heart, crying all the while. We found out that boy and I requested their parents, why don't you bring him to our clinic in Hemalkasa? And they agreed because they had lost the hopes. The first patient came, we removed his maggots, we gave him antibiotic, we treated for his epilepsy. And since he was a virgin case, they had never taken modern medicine. The results were excellent. He got cured within no time. We adopted him, learned more language from him. We used to take him to different villages. And some more patients started coming to take advantage of our clinic. And the second patient, who was very serious, came from 30 kilometers. How did he come? He was in a coma. The village quack treated him. And there was no response, so they sent him back. The relatives thought that there was an alternative now in Hemalkasa. They informed some of the young boys and from the villages. They put him on a bamboo cot and carried him on shoulder for almost 30-35 kilometers. Almost like a person carrying through 4 or 5 villages. So most of the villagers from that area came to know that a serious patient was taken to Hemalkasa. The patient was put in underneath a tree in front of my hut. And rest of these villagers went back except one relative. We were so happy that they came from such a long distance. But next moment we were worried how to diagnose a patient without investigation. We couldn't consult anybody. We referred books and we thought, some debate, we thought that probably it's a case of a cerebral malaria, which is a very serious disease. But since we knew the treatment, we started with intravenous quinine and glucose and whatnot. One of our volunteers was always sitting by his side to observe the progress of the disease. And on the third day, the volunteer came running to me that now he is responding to our questions. He has opened his eyes. We were so happy that probably our diagnosis was correct and he will respond to the line of treatment. And on the 5th day, he got up. He was almost cured of the disease. Took his cot in his shoulder and went back walking the same way where he came on a cot horizontally. So that made a lot of difference. That people thought that there is an alternative now. Not only the village clerk and pujari, but they also have now good alternative. The pujaris were not happy with our facility. Naturally, they thought there is a competitor now. But one day, a daughter of a pujari got sick. She had gastroenteritis. He treated with his own medicine, mantra tantra, but she didn't respond. She was quite dehydrated. And then he brought the daughter in the night. We were so happy that the Pujari also brought his daughter for the treatment here. The whole night we treated her with antibiotics, saline and whatnot. By the time it was in the morning, she was almost cured. But we thought that we must be kept here for 2 more days so that the patients coming in the morning would see that even the Pujari also is bringing his own relatives to this patient, to this new facility. And that is how the enmity, so-called competition from the Pujari, that ended. And more patients started coming. And after about 1.5 years, more than 40,000 patients from 150-kilometer radius started coming, visiting the facility. And our only problem was that we are not specialists of everything. I had left my surgery, my wife was, Mandakini was the anesthetist. So I started bringing patient of all the health facility, all the health problems. They came for the deliveries. They came for fractures, they came for animal bites, snake bites, and whatnot. Since they came from such a long distance, we never said no to anybody. We tried to minimize their agonies, treated them. And after 2 years, they have accepted both of us as they're more or less relatives, brother and sister-in-law, like that. And then, actually, I always tell them that this project started from a picnic without any planning. Only thing that since we both were doctors, we should start a clinic and later on a hospital. But after 2 years, when we realized that we tell people to take a medicine means after the food, and we realize that they don't have sufficient food to eat. They go to the forest, search for the food, tubers, roots, hunt for the animals, birds, and if nothing is available, they sleep without food. So myself and my colleagues who had come here with the inspiration of Baba's, we all thought of giving them training in farming. They did not know modern farming. They were exploited by these so-called civilized people. So we thought of giving them, teaching them about their rights. And in 17th June, we decided to start a school for them. Again, our volunteers went from village to village, asking them to send their children for the school. There are a lot of suspicion. Why do you want our children to be separated from family? You may not return them. They may be attacked by the wild animals while going to the school, and so many doubts they had. Our volunteers told them that you were not coming to the clinic for a lot of misunderstanding and doubts in your mind. But now you come in thousands. You please give us one opportunity to teach your students about their rights, about the farming, about the formal education. And somehow they sent 25 children in 76 June. And that is how the school was started, informal school. And our volunteers were so dedicated, though they were highly educated, they were from the cities, but they were living with us with minimum of facilities and started teaching them farming, the fight against corruption, exploitation, and the formal education. So the first year, out of 25 students, almost 10 were dropouts. They didn't like the disciplined life. But those who stayed for a whole year, they went with our volunteers next year and they convinced their parents and friends. The number increased to 30, and then after 2 years, everybody understood the importance of the education, and the number of students started increasing. Education was a key factor, I think. That's only giving them medicine doesn't help in the development of a community. So one after another, now we have almost 45 years and 650 tribal students staying with us. The school is up to 12th standard. And the beauty of the school is that almost half of the students are girl students, almost equal number of boys and girls. And giving an opportunity to them, the first batch, first student, after taking education, 10 plus 2 in Anandvan, got admission in Nagpur Medical College. And he was the first student where there was no education to become a doctor. Not only doctor, he became postgraduate MD Gynec. After taking some experience, he came back to Gadchiroli district and serving his own tribe. So he is like a Deepa Stambha. Kanna Madhavi is a name. He is very famous because he is the first doctor of this community. So naturally, all these members from his community got inspired. There is a lot of awareness about taking education. Now more than 10 students have become doctors and 4 have become lawyers and engineers. A lot of them come back as teachers. Almost 80% of the students after completing their education have come back to Gadchiroli district and serving their own community. Our own children, Digant and Aniket and my daughter Aarti, they were taking education in the same school with the tribal students in Marathi medium. There was problem of their education because they couldn't stand the competition. Digant and Aniket and my daughter Aarti, they were taking education in the same school with the tribal students. And of course, by the time there was a lot of goodwill in the society, so our elder son got admission in Mr. Datta Meghes Medical College in Varda. And younger son Aniket, we went to Pune and took a diploma in mechanical engineering. Both of them, of their own, voluntarily decided to come back and join the project. My father, Baba, was so happy that third generation of Amtes, without telling them, without asking them, they have voluntarily joined the project. Fortunately, our daughter-in-laws, the elder one is from Goa and she is a gynecologist, and they got married in 2003. Both of them joined us and they are looking after the medical facilities. And now they have taken complete responsibility. Constructed a 50-bedded new hospital, almost modern hospital in this remote area. And except MRI, all the facilities are there. And the younger son, his partner is from Pune. They both are looking after the education part of the project. The school here of up to 12th standards. And I told you earlier that there is a tremendous awareness about taking education. There was a demand from a remote village called Nelgunda. 5 years back, the parents came to almost force them to start a school in Nelgunda. The children wanted to have good education. So my son and daughter-in-law both went there. They saw that area which is cut off from the world. There are no roads, there is no electricity, telephone is out of question. But the desire to take an education is tremendous. So in 2015, they started a school, first standard. They are given them date on the 5th of May, you must come there. There was no building to start the school, so one of the tribal gave his land, 1 acre land. And my son and daughter-in-law had appealed to to educated students on Facebook. If somebody wants to serve this tribe for at least 1 year, give them education. I'm happy to tell you that 15 students or graduates from the cities gave their willingness, and out of 15 they selected 3. So these 3 volunteers, my son and daughter-in-law, went on a motorcycle on 5th of May 2015 in that village, and they saw 56 students, boys and girls, sitting under the tree to take the education. So that enthusiasm, of course, encouraged their will to give them good education. My daughter-in-law is from Pune, and this school here in Hemalkasta, Lok Biradari Ashram School, is a Marathi medium school, and Marathi is totally foreign language for them. So it's difficult for them to learn Marathi. It takes them almost 2 years to learn the Marathi. So my daughter-in-law said that we should try here English, which is also foreign language to them. And I'm happy to tell you that they picked up English very early. They are taking CBSE course. Now it's the 5th year. Highly educated IT graduates are teaching them. Now almost 140 to 50 students are taking education. One more villager who is a progressive farmer in another village called Jinsgaon, he said, let's start a school in our village also, which is also 30 kilometers away from this place. So last year, 2019, they started a school for the boys and girls of Jinsgaon village. Again, 50 students and boys and girls are taking education in that village. So we started from a scratch, and with the health facility underneath the tree, which grew up to a 50-bedded hospital, and my son and daughter-in-law taking a complete responsibility of that. They also started barefoot clinics in different smaller villages where they don't have to walk down for such a long distance. So 6 more sub-centers have been started where our own educated tribal students have been trained, and serious patients are referred to our main facilities. So health, education, awareness about their rights, teaching them good farming, how to grow vegetables and fruits. So without any planning, one after another, the project started. With the help of, it's not that we both are responsible for developing this project. With Baba's inspiration, we got quite a few volunteers, educated volunteers from cities like Vilas Manohar, Gopal Fadnis, Dada Panchal, from different places, Pune, Mumbai, Marathwada, so Jagan Masakle, different volunteers. They sacrifice their life, and they are serving this community for last 46 years. But now most of these our colleagues have been retired, but their second generation helping our sons, and third generation of Baba has taken the complete responsibility. Their children, my grandsons, they are 4 in number now. They are also taking education in the Marathi medium in the same school, and I really appreciate their compromise. My compromise of my daughter-in-law, who had good education in Pune and Goa, but they have happily admitted their sons and daughter in the same school where tribals are taking education in Marathi medium. So that's how, in short, we are working in this remote area, which traditionally was more known for a punishment posting initially, and later on, because of the insurgency, a lot of people they don't dare to come and visit this place. But in spite of that challenges, my both sons have taken the responsibility. Really, I'm proud of both of them and their daughter-in-laws. And a little bit about the animals I have, which is more known to the world rather than my work for the tribal, because these so-called cruel animals are living very happily like a member of my family. But how it started? It started with a baby of a killed monkey. Why they had killed the monkeys? They had killed the monkeys for food. In 1974, we were roaming in the forest. We came across the hunting party and saw that they had killed the monkeys for food, but the live baby was suckling the dead mother. We stopped them, requested them to part with that baby. They said, no, our children are hungry in the village. We bargained them. We say, we'll give you rice and dal for your children to eat. And that's how the first animal came to my family. We reared him with bottle feeding, and he became a friend of my country dog. He used to sit on his back and follow me and my wife for a walk. And patients started visiting the hospital. They saw this thing, association. We started requesting them, please don't kill the young orphan animals. Whatever animal you find in the forest, you please bring them. So next animal was the deer fawn and the bear cub. Later on, the leopard cub came, and they were all staying together in my family. Used to come for a walk to the confluence every day. We go for a walk, and they used to follow us. It was a great experience. We had heard in Purana, ancient times, the tigers and the leopards and the deers used to come and visit their ashrams. Here we had lucky enough to have that experience. When we started the school and the children coming to the hospitals to avoid an accident, we put them in the cages. But our relationship is same. I consider all these animals as my member of my family. My sons also love them. My grandsons also go into the cages, play with leopards, hyenas. They are happy. They are really very obsessed with the snakes, whether venomous or non-venomous. Even the and the porcupines and different kinds of deers. One way is unfortunately, but since they were orphan, if we had not accepted them, they would have probably killed and eaten them by the tribal. But I'm also happy to tell you that not only we kept the animals, we taught them farming, we gave them education, which led to employment for them. So nowadays, naturally, they don't go to the forest to kill the animals for food. They are doing good farming. They have got the employment. The roads have been constructed. Initially, there were no roads. We used to remain cut off, more or less locked down for the first 10 years. No bridges on any of the river. No electricity for 22 years. So, very minimum of facilities. One thing I must tell you that myself, my wife, and my colleagues, in spite of lack of facilities, nobody ever complained about the food, about the entertainment, about the isolation. But because of the commitment, they lived very, very happily here. And now technology has come. The roads have been built, though the bridges are submersible, but at least it's not cut off as before. After 20 years, the electricity came, so now there is a telephone, the internet, and the Wi-Fi is there. My children are taking advantage of all this new technology. They are also getting volunteers to work with them, new generation. Almost there is a waiting list of the volunteers to work in this remote area, either in the school as a teacher or a technologist, or in the hospital to work as a nurse or a pathologist or technicians. So living in such a remote place, we feel so blessed. In fact, the project is very well known now. You'll be surprised to learn that for the 30 years, almost up to 2003, we both never went out for any public meeting or giving presentation of our work. One of our friends from Dhulia, Dr. Vani, who was settled in Canada, Calgary, he visited this place and he said, This work should be known to the world so that young generation can take an inspiration. They will be more conscious about their country, about the social work. So first public meeting was in New York in 2003. The convention of Marathi people was there. We were invited as a chief guest. And after that, gradually people started inviting both of us in different places, different colleges, different clubs, and in the form of interviews, question and answer. We started visiting different places, and I'm happy to tell you that there is a tremendous response from the young generation. Before this lockdown, we had a lot of invitations from different medical colleges, IITs, and a lot of volunteers who have started NGOs, taking inspiration from Baba and Hemal Prasad's work. And different NGOs working at different places in Marathwada and Western Maharashtra for HIVs to affected children and orphanages and children affected by farmer suicide and different places. So almost 80-90 NGOs are working in Maharashtra. Without expecting anything, I always tell that this is a selfless work. We had never expected anything, neither from tribal for whom we have come here to work, neither from the society. But what is written in Gita, we did not know about that. We had not studied Gita. But we both always say that we have taken tremendous joy from this selfless service. And with this webinar, Samatha Group had the opportunity to reach different people, students, staff, and the alumni of different in the different field and all other things. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity. My guest wishes for all of them to hope that we all become Corona Mukt in the near future, so that the normal activities will start. Before that, I would like to say one thing that because of the development, because of the increase in population, we have destroyed the nature. And I feel this is a proper occasion to appeal to the world to change the little bit of their lifestyle. You must differentiate between need and greed, which Gandhiji said long back. Because of the greed, probably there is no end to it. But the destruction of nature, we must conserve nature. All these developments projects should be environment friendly. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Prakash Amte. Thank you very much. I have a few, maybe questions is not the right word, but a few, I would say, interaction with you. And I start with your love for animals.
Yeah.
So how do you really see difference or similarity between animals and human beings? Because I think you have handled both and their health and other things.
I always say I have a little bit of right, to give my opinion. I have intimate contact with animals as well as human beings.
Yes.
In one sentence, I can tell you, the human race is unpredictable.
Animals are predictable.
Animals they just have nirvyas prem. I mean,
yes,
selfless love. They don't want anything more.
Yeah.
And if you give them love, whatever animal. I mean, I have fortunately have got experience with lion, leopard, bear, hyena, which people think are more dangerous, treacherous, cruel animals. But for last 45 years, I am still alive. I mean, that is a proof. I never tried to attack intentionally. I got few wounds, but that is while playing. Our skin is so delicate and they have got very, very sharp claws. So sometimes they jump on me. So naturally, my skin gets, breached and the blood starts oozing. But I give that blood to that same animal, leopard. they lick that blood just as they clean their own wounds. So I don't have to use medicine afterwards.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that once they taste the human blood, they become man-eater. But I think that they become man-eater once they kill a man accidentally. They understand that probably this is the easiest prey to kill.
Do they understand human love, human touch?
They tremendously understand the love. You know, actually, I got 4 leopards now, 1 hyena, 2 crocodiles, and 4 or 5 leopard bears, which are really. I mean, nowadays you hear a lot of cases of man and animal conflict. That is because of the destruction of nature. Yeah.
No, I think looking at Dr. Mandakini Amte, Mrs. Mandakini Amte, I would say, how did you feel, Dr. Mrs. Amte, that when you really reached, let's say, Hemalkasa, so, and you looked at the animals, you looked at the patients, and as he has rightly said, in terms of really asking patients, sure. Yeah. As she was there, so I thought that let me also ask her a simple, because I think that's very, very intriguing, but both of you are formidable.
Just sure.
Mika Mando, when you must have reached there from Nagpur all the way to Hemalkasa, and looking at the passion which is Dr. Amte has, and also the commitment which you have. So how did you feel it in the beginning? When he said, okay, people are ignorant and I do not know the language, how do I communicate? And they get frightened, all these things. How did you adjust it? What do you do?
Initially, it was very difficult to adjust with this life. But commitment was there, and with love, with Prakash, I myself committed for this life.
Right. Yes. In fact, Dr. Amte, when it comes to, let's say, commitment, having passion, like what you have really derived everything out of your passion. So how the resources came in the way? Resources may be difficult for you to manage. In this journey, how are the hurdles? What are the difficulties you face?
Actually, initially there was no funding as such. Basically, but we have curtailed our needs to minimum. Simple food, rice and dal. Living in a modest. Initially there were huts only. So,
there was no market.
Yeah, that's true. No market, absolutely right.
What we normally see is that there is more expenditure on administration. So in our case, we spend more money on our objects, like spending money on medicine and education of the children. Almost 10% of the expenditure was on administration. 10%. So all our volunteers really, they really never demanded anything here. They just accepted whatever was available here. They are resigned from their jobs. Taking about, say, we had a community kitchen, so food was no problem. Whatever was served, with that we were happy. And just 150 rupees per month honorarium to cover the expenditure, like soup and all this little bit of thing.
But regarding medicines or regarding medical equipments, all other aspects, that must be costly even that time. So how did you really manage? Was there some source which was available to you?
Initially, of course, nothing was there. Anandman was helping us with medicine.
Sure.
He used to send the list of medicine to Baba. And he used to send them from purchase them from Nagpur and then send the medicine.
Okay.
But the equipment was no person, there was no electricity.
Yeah, sure.
So basically, But later on, when people started to realize that there is a project which Baba started and his son and daughter-in-law are running, they visited the project. And some of the agencies, Swiss Aid initially helped us. Swiss Aid, another agency is Oxfam.
Okay.
So then gradually the
resources come. Now, do you see poverty? Yes, sure.
individual donations.
Yes, yes,
Those who visited the project, they contributed.
yes.
In their own, probably limiting within their limits, whatever, you know. But we are so happy that a lot of people have helped this project. Lakhs of people. Yeah, giving 5 rupees to say 5 lakhs, doesn't matter. But, yeah. That way, you know, we never. I mean, we are illiterate in, you know, in that way, preparing the schemes. You know?
Do you see poverty and ignorance? These are the two things have been coming in the way.
Education, I mean, number one. Ignorance comes with education. Yeah, if there is no education, there is ignorance. And there was no education, so there was poverty. So no employment. Yeah. And this being a remote area, and tribal used to live in the forest area without knowing their rights. So nothing was available to them. In spite of having a lot of schemes, the government, they didn't reach to the people. They didn't know. They never demanded. So that is one reason they became almost, they were starving. Basically, they were starving.
But is it because of legal issue, legal things, or is it because of society? Or is it because of politics? Is it combination of that, or is it something which was really not lacking in the people, lacking in the society? How do you look at that?
Unfortunately, you know, in India, unless you demand something, and if there is a violence in it, then government gives you the facilities. So naturally, nothing came to them.
Yeah.
Not even the ration shop.
Yeah.
You know, no kerosene.
Oh yes.
Nothing was there. So that was the one reason, because of the ignorance. But once we gave them education, so they became aware about their rights. They got the employment. So it's a gradual process.
So, right, as you said, Baba was not really looking at the rituals per se, but rituals and science. Where is the combination? Where do we put this together?
Baba say karma and karma kanda. You know, and in fact, my mother was very religious.
Mm-hmm.
She used to perform pujas and visit various temples. But Baba neither objected it, but he never performed any religious thing in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So he said karma is more important. Work is worship. Is more Shrama hi hai Sri Ram Hamara. A lot of poets used to tell the people in different ways. But to start any work, you must have compassion. That was his, you know. Unless there is compassion, how can you start the work? Which is lacking in probably or in our community. Compassion for human beings as well as animals.
True, very true, very true. Another thing which I would like to say is how do you look at life then and now in terms of really technology, in terms of this? So do you think restarting, suppose you go now, how would you really look at this now? And how do you really start now?
Personally, you know, we were happy living in isolation. Basically, we both are introverts. But after the picture was released, you know.
Yes.
There's a lot of awareness in Maharashtra. It was in Marathi.
Yes.
So thousands of people started visiting this place. So our life was totally changed from isolation to a very busy life.
Yes.
You know? But if you say to start with that, we both basically think that Bharat is itna bada desh hai, and everybody takes an oath in the school. Bharat mara desh hai, sab desh bandho, mere desh bandho hai, वगैरह वगैरह ना.
Correct.
And if you really look at the statistics, 30% of the population is below poverty. 30%.
Absolutely.
It's a huge number. And if you only think of a tribal, they are almost 10 crores.
Yes. True.
So we feel that minimum thing they have, this BPL should go, you know, below poverty level. You won't make you superpower.
True. But perhaps there is education, there is a consciousness, there is a compassion, there is passion.
Yeah.
All these things could be very, very important.
Very important. Yeah.
Now, at this moment, looking at this kind of social work which you have done, what both of you derive out of it? what is satisfaction, joy is one thing, but beyond that, what do you derive?
Maybe ये थोड़ा सा आध्यात्मिक है ये, उसका हमको स्टडी नहीं है बिल्कुल. Neither studied any religion nor read books.
Yeah.
But this selfless, how it started with selfless service, you know. I told you about that incident about that the patient was brought on a charpai, on a cot.
Yeah, true.
And he went back walking,
Yeah.
without giving us dhanyavad.
But that's like a God then,
Yeah.
experience of it. That's
Yeah.
why I always ask in my research also I asked them, how did you experience? Because God you cannot see, you can experience.
Yeah,
So
that's-
similarly, what's the experience? People must have got shocked out of that your experiment.
That's right, yeah. But लेकिन बहुत आनंद लिया, बहुत मजा आया.
That's true. That's true.
Tribal,
Now, yeah, go ahead.
tribal
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
it's a big population here, and serving them without any planning. But we thought that not only giving medicine is a way to for the development. So giving them good drinking water. You know, just an example. So they used to drink a water from a nala or a river. And there are more diseases of waterborne disease in India. You know. So I requested one of the tribal commissioners who rarely visit these people who visited, and I requested him, why don't you dig a borewell in different villages, hand pumps. He said, who will come here to repair? But I said, wear and tear is tremendous in that. I said, we have finished drinking water from the river. But there was some health problem, so we dug a borewell here. And it goes out of water very obvious, there's a lot of friction there. So we learned ourselves how to repair it. So if you dig the borewells in different villages, we will repair it. Myself, my colleagues are trained in that. And he did 80 borewells in 80 villages. And as and when they got out of water, the village used to come, Doctor Sahab, chaliye, hamara pump kharab ho gaya. So I used to drive in a Mahindra Jeep with their colleagues and used to repair the well. So whatever need was there, without expecting anything, we started doing the work.
So it is like a selflessness, completely nothing to be expected from. That's absolutely. Now, suppose at this moment, now, what would you like to tell to students? Because I think you are also a student, we are always student, and that time, the kind of thought process. Yeah.
I always tell them why I started this work, my own experience. Because Baba brought us for a picnic, maybe for a picnic, but he has exposed us to different reality. You know, India is a huge country. We would never have known that tribals are living like animals if he had not brought us. So exposure is most important. Living in cities, if you take a time, you know, and visit such projects who are working for the downtrodden. I mean, I did not come to Hemal Kasab, is far away from, but there are so many NGOs working for different ailments or downtrodden people in different places. So everybody should visit that. एक बार visit किया तो पता चलेगा कि जिनके पास कितना दुख है, जिनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है, फिर भी they are not complaining about anything.
Right.
Having so many things, हमको लगता है ये नहीं, वो नहीं, वो नहीं. So that makes a difference. Subconscious mind में you got that impression. So once in a while you can realize, you will think about that. Some of them might, everybody cannot go and do the social work service, but at least they would think of helping such people or encouraging such NGOs, volunteers. So that would be a great thing, you know. हम खुद तो काम नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन ऐसे कुछ प्रोजेक्ट में जाके उनका तो मोरल बढ़ा सकते हैं कम से कम.
True, true.
Enthusiasm बढ़ा सकते हैं.
Now, nowadays people, you know, getting a lot of exposure, a lot of luxuries, a lot of greed, you know, increasing in the people, those who want to become overnight millionaires, etc., etc. So, how do you really advise them? Because this very different kind of work which you have done throughout your life. And what is your message to them? Because the need and greed, as you rightly said.
Earning money is not a crime, but enjoyment. enjoyment भी वो भी ठीक है, but alcohol, drug abuse, because you get everything by spending money, but not the satisfaction. अब देखिए after the party, थोड़ा सा next day you will be depressed because that is temporary enjoyment. So if you have some social consciousness, if you help a single person, a single brother in your country, and then you will realize how happy he will be, and that joy probably will long last in your life. So working for downtrodden, this is the only way to get satisfaction for a lifetime satisfaction, basically. And not everybody go and do social service, but this type of work, helping others.
So this technology which we are seeing now, Naval Casa, we are in Mumbai, we are in all over India, we are still nearer you. And as we discussed in earlier part, which probably not known to the public, I think we are feeling like you make all of us as a part of your family.
Yes.
That's very, very, very important. Looking at your compassion, looking at your simplicity.
Yes.
So I think I would put it this way, that basically what we are looking at is that the kind of persistency, the kind of compassion, the kind of commitment, and the kind of passion you have. Also, you have done a lot of innovations, which I heard. Similarly, a lot of experimentation, because all these were through experiments, and experiments you really grew well. So I must say that to my students or to our all friends here, that I think let's get the inspiration, full inspiration, and also get very well connected with the kind of society in such a way that we develop ourselves into compassion, develop ourselves into the passion, and work for some single passion. I think that's what I feel from your side. I would like to communicate to you. I hope that you agree with me.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So thank you, Dr. Prakash Amte. Thank you, Dr. Mandakini Apte. And thank you, because I only think. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.